They paid for my wedding, then sent me a bill for $39,782. I paid it and walked out of their lives forever. My parents promised to cover the full $40,000 cost of my wedding after gifting my favored older brother $500,000 for his. I accepted their offer, believing they were finally treating me as an equal. But then, an email arrived demanding I repay every cent. I settled the debt, but not in the way they anticipated. At 4 years old, I memorized a Spanish poem to charm my parents, hoping to snag the last cookie from the jar. They smiled, nodded, and handed it to my 8-year-old brother instead, all because he'd used the bathroom independently for the first time. That moment defined my childhood dynamic with my parents. Growing up, my brother received the latest tech, stylish clothes, and endless attention. I made do with his old clothes and started working weekends at 14 to afford my own things. The real blow came when my brother, now 34, got married 4 years ago. My parents gave him and his wife a jaw-dropping $500,000 wedding gift, which helped them buy a stunning home in an upscale area. Though it stung, I was genuinely happy for him back then. My own life was on track. I had solid savings and was dating Ryan, the love of my life. Fast forward to last summer when Ryan proposed. I was over the moon. We planned a $40,000 wedding, elegant but modest, fitting our vision. Then out of the blue, my parents offered to pay for the entire thing. I was overwhelmed with gratitude. For the first time, it felt like they saw me as their child, not just the runner-up. I didn't question it too much. The wedding was perfect until the storm hit. My parents gave moving speeches, danced with us, and seemed truly happy. 2 days later, I got an email from my father. I thought it might be about our honeymoon or a simple thank you. Instead, it was a detailed invoice listing every expense they'd covered, down to the last centerpiece and hors d'oeuvre. The total was $39,782.45, with a curt note. "We expect repayment promptly." I was dumbfounded, staring at the screen. My stomach churned. Ryan found me curled up, tears of rage streaming down my face. He was furious. The money wasn't the problem, we could pay if we had to. But that wasn't the issue. They'd presented it as a gift, acted thrilled to help plan, only to pull this. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. It felt like years of favoritism had culminated in this cruel twist. After a sleepless night talking with Ryan, I made up my mind. I wrote a check for the full amount and included a letter. I didn't trust myself to confront them in person. I'd lose my composure, and I didn't want a screaming match. In the letter, I reminded them I'd been self-sufficient since 15, scraping by while they showered my brother with everything. I laid out their unequal treatment, how I'd never complained, and how this Baytan switch felt like a betrayal. I ended by saying I'd reject any future help, including inheritance. I mailed it, blocked their numbers, and waited. Silence followed for days, which only fueled my frustration. Then the floodgates opened. Family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, even family friends started bombarding me with messages, calling me ungrateful and overdramatic. They said my parents had done so much for me, and I was making a mountain out of a molehill. My brother called, yelling that I was tearing the family apart. He told me I should have paid quietly and moved on, typical of him, always taking their side. Why wouldn't he? I didn't respond to anyone. I feel justified. After years of being sidelined, this was the breaking point, and I had to stand up for myself. But part of me wonders if I'm overreacting. Was it wrong to expect they'd treat my wedding like my brother's? Should I have just paid and let it go? Ryan's family has been my rock, horrified by my parents' actions, checking on us daily. But the relentless messages from my family are wearing me down. I'm questioning if I made the right call. Did I mishandle this? Should I have talked to them first? Or was cutting contact the right move after years of feeling less than my brother? I'm torn. Part of me knows I was right to draw a line, but another part fears I've caused an irreparable rift. Maybe I could have approached it differently. Any advice? Update 1. Things have spiraled since I shared my story. I never expected sending that check and letter would unleash such chaos. Yesterday, I got an email from my mother, sent from her work account, which I hadn't blocked. It was long and sanctimonious. She claimed the invoice was a test of my financial responsibility, not meant to be taken seriously. They allegedly planned to tear up the check and surprise me with a $120,000 gift as my true wedding present once I'd passed their lesson. I was floored. A test. What kind of parents play these games with their grown daughter? It felt like pure manipulation, a way to control me. I immediately deposited the check via my phone. I wanted it cashed, making them face the consequences of their stunt. I replied briefly, "Thank you for confirming this was a deliberate test. The check is deposited." Then I blocked her work email. I expected more attempts at contact, but I was done with their games. That evening, things escalated when my brother showed up at my condo unannounced, banging on the door and shouting my name. I didn't open it, hoping he'd leave, but he kept going. He yelled that I was being immature, blowing things out of proportion, and that our parents were just worried about my spending habits. That last part coming from him, the guy who never paid his own bills, made my blood boil. I quietly recorded his rant on my phone just in case things got worse. He went on about how I was ruining the family over something trivial and needed to apologize. I stayed silent, refusing to engage. Eventually, he left, but not before calling me selfish and accusing me of trying to cut ties over money. After he left, I sat there, overwhelmed. His outburst confirmed he'd always side with them, no matter how unfair their actions. That night, more family messages poured in. Apparently, my brother went straight to my parents, and they'd rallied everyone against me. Texts from aunts, uncles, and family friends called me ungrateful, saying I should apologize for causing drama. One aunt, who I hadn't spoken to in years, said I was lucky to have parents who cared enough to teach me lessons, and that I should be grateful they spent anything on my wedding. It felt like they'd all bought my parents' narrative without questioning the manipulation or years of favoritism. No one cared about my side. Ryan's worried about how this is affecting me. He suggested turning off my phone for a break, reminding me of all the times my parents favored my brother and used money to control us. The worst part is, I can't get straight answers. My parents aren't explaining themselves. They just paint themselves as misunderstood while I'm the ungrateful one. I'm starting to wonder if I should have handled this differently, maybe talk to them instead of cutting contact. But I know how those talks go. They'd twist things until I'm apologizing for being hurt. It's a cycle I'm tired of. For now, Ryan and I are focusing on our life together, hoping things calm down. Update 2. Your responses have been a lifeline. Thank you for the advice and stories you've shared. It's helped me process this mess. A few days after my brother's visit, I got a call from my father's brother, my uncle. I braced for another lecture, but he surprised me. He revealed that my parents pulled a similar stunt with him 20 years ago when my grandparents, my father's parents, used money to manipulate him. When he refused to play along, they smeared him, accusing him of theft and ingratitude. My father sided with their parents, causing a rift between the brothers that never healed. His story was eerily similar to mine. My grandparents used money to control, just like my parents are doing now. My uncle said he was cut off emotionally and financially, branded the family outcast. It hit me that my parents were repeating the same toxic patterns they'd learned. My father, who enabled his parents back then, was now doing the same to me. This made me wonder if my father's actions come from guilt over abandoning his brother, but it doesn't excuse what he's done. Family messages kept coming. My brother had been busy turning everyone against me. A close cousin texted, saying I was selfish and needed to apologize before it was too late. Her words echoed everyone else's, and it was exhausting. I realized my family's love always came with strings, money, support, even celebrations like weddings. Now that I'd refused their rules, I was being ostracized, just like my uncle. Ryan's been my anchor, reminding me we'll get through this together and that I don't owe anyone anything. I'm still torn, though. Part of me wants to fix things without losing my boundaries, but I know those conversations rarely end well. Then, unexpectedly, I got a voicemail from my father. His tone was different, not angry but weary. He said he didn't want to keep fighting and was open to talking. He didn't apologize outright, but something felt different. Maybe he's realizing I won't back down. I haven't replied yet. Part of me wants to talk, to see if we can have an honest conversation, but my uncle's words linger. They'll never admit fault because they believe they're right. I'm overwhelmed by it all. My uncle's story, the family's messages, my father's voicemail. I want to believe my parents can change, but I know one talk won't undo years of hurt. For now, Ryan and I are focusing on our future, trying to break free from these toxic patterns. I'm not sure if I'm right to hold my ground or if I'm pushing away my only family. It's messy, and I'm okay with not having all the answers yet. I'll update as things unfold. Update 3. Thank you all for your incredible support. Your comments have helped me navigate this family chaos and reach some clarity. Reading your advice, I realized I'd been trying to force a healthy relationship with my parents, hoping to fix things and pretend everything was fine. But I've accepted that normal was never healthy, and it's okay to let go of that fantasy. Many of you pointed out I was too hopeful about my father's guilt, thinking it might lead to change. You were right. It doesn't justify their actions or mean I should forgive them. I still needed closure, though, to move on for myself, not them. So I met with my father. He wasn't the intimidating figure I remembered. He looked tired, almost broken. He apologized for how the wedding situation played out and for my mother's and brother's actions. He even said he'd asked relatives to stop contacting me, which was a small relief. Then he did something unexpected. He tried to return the check I'd sent for the wedding costs. He said he and my mother had talked and wanted to make things right. But I was ready. I told him I wouldn't take it back. This wasn't just about money. It was about years of being treated as less than my brother and the emotional toll it took. Taking the money wouldn't fix that. He seemed frustrated, like he thought returning the check was enough. He didn't get that the damage wasn't financial. He said he didn't want to lose me and that things had gone too far. He seemed genuine, but I wasn't looking for the reconciliation he wanted. I didn't want to go back to how things were. I told him I needed space, a real break from the toxic dynamic we'd always had. I wasn't ready to forgive and forget. Surprisingly, he didn't push back. He just nodded and said he understood. That small acknowledgement meant more than any grand gesture. Leaving the meeting, I felt conflicted, not angry but not relieved either. I'd hoped for closure, but it's not as tidy as I wanted. There was no big resolution, just an ending. I said what I needed to, and now it's on me to move forward. Since then, I've been protecting my peace. I've blocked more family members who kept harassing me, and Ryan and I are focusing on our life without the drama. It feels good, though I still have moments of doubt. I wonder if I could have done things differently or given them another chance. But then I remember years of feeling unworthy and know I deserve better. My brother hasn't reached out since the meeting, and I'm not surprised. He's shown where he stands, and I've accepted we'll never be close. It hurts, but it's freeing to let go of that hope. As for my father, I don't know what the future holds. He seemed remorseful, but I'm not sure it's enough to rebuild anything. For now, I'm prioritizing my happiness. This isn't the perfect ending I might have wanted, but it's the closure I needed. Sometimes that's enough. Thank you all for your support. It means the world. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and follow for more real-life stories and heartfelt experiences. Your support helps us share more stories like this. Thank you for reading, and I'll see you in the next one.